Hi, I'm John Buller. In this video I'm going to tell you from start to finish how to make a lapped or half-blind dovetail joint. There's also information on how to make many more joints in my new book, The Complete Guide to Joint Making. A half-blind is the kind of dovetail you'll see on a chest of drawers, or you won't see it until you pull the drawer open and have a look at the side. Start by planing the wood flat on the faces, square on the edges and cutting square ends. Tools I use are the dovetail saw, marking gauges, a fine knife or scalpel and sharp bevel-edged chisels. Two main types of cutting gauge are the traditional wooden one and the more modern all metal with fine adjuster. I'm going to cut the tails on this ash wood and the sockets on this dark coloured walnut. Because the tails won't reach the full depth of the wood, I'll make the baseline for the sockets about 3/4 of the depth of the walnut. The metal marking gauge has a cutting disc on the end that leaves a clean line. Then take the ash and mark the shoulder line for the tails at the same depth as the depth of the sockets. I put the ash in the vise, mark the gaps between tails. I'll make one about 15mm from each end, one in the middle and one about halfway between each of those. That should do it. I'm cutting the sides of the tails at a slight angle. About 1 in 7 is best. Cut the ends off. Each side. There we have the saw cuts for all the dovetails. I chop the gaps between the tails in 2 stages. Firstly ahead of the line, to remove the waste. Then I sit the chisel tip in the knife mark so it cuts just on the line. Set the walnut in the vise to mark the outline of the sockets for the tails. Use the tails as a template to mark the size and shape of each socket. While the depth of the socket is going to be set to the thickness of the tails that will fit in it. So I use the marking gauge again. for that, and then make some lines to show the sides of each socket. Next I'm going to chop out the tails. First of all I need to clamp the walnut onto a backing board and put that firmly in the vise. The saw cut's positioned just against the knife line, so that the knife line itself forms part of the finished saw cut. Keep the saw blade vertical, but tilt it sideways to follow the bevel of the dovetail socket. Now chop into the long grain at the base of each socket. Then chop into the end grain on the end of each socket. Just keep on repeating these chops. Sharp chisel, that's what you must have. Chop down again. Pair the sides. Use a fine chisel to just get into the corners and clean them out, and then see if the tails will fit. Not quite, there's a little tight bit in that corner there. Let's have another go. Just knock it in. There we go. You'll find full details of how to make this half-blind dovetail and many other woodworking joints in my new book, The Complete Guide to Joint Making. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful.